actually my first video of this year, so I guess I'll just have to say Happy New Year! As you can see, this is going to be a little bit different than I usually do, because I'm out in the woods and I thought I would take you along on my walking in the woods. It's really nice, it's very quiet and it's lovely. And I am going to talk a little bit about books while I am walking in the woods. That's at least my plan. So it is a really nice sunny day today. It's not very cold, I think it's like -5-ish Celsius. We don't do Fahrenheit in Norway. So I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit. I could say that 0 degrees is freezing. I am going to go a little bit further in here before I turn. Oh, look, I found a better pathway. Oh, that was lucky, because it was a bit tiring to walk on that. Not really a pathway. Whew, I've been walking uphill, so I'm a bit out of breath. I haven't been doing as much walking and stuff lately. Everything has been like closed and stuff. And we had really strict restrictions in Oslo recently. So I haven't really done a lot of stuff lately. I've been working, but you know. Anyway, I was thinking I would do sort of a wrap-up for January. And the first book I read in January was The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which is a horror classic. I have the sun right here, so I'm a bit... yeah, sorry. Very typical of the genre, I think, like a haunted house. You have furniture going here and there and stuff like that. I think if it had been a film, I would have found it pretty scary in a good way. Reading it, I didn't feel scared at all, but I still found it to be a really good book. I really enjoyed it. The second book I read in January was Check Please, book 2. It's called Sticks and Stones, written by Gozi Ukazu, and it is the second book in the series. It's like 2 books in the series, so it's not really a series, duology, I guess. And it's LGBTQ+, really cute, about going to college, coming out, and falling in love and things like that. So basically a really cute comic. I read it in Libby, which is a library app. So yeah, I quite liked it, I enjoyed it. Don't really know what else to say about it. I don't want to say too much because it's kind of following up from where the first one left off. So if you haven't read the first one, it's no point in kind of starting reading the second one. You should read the first one first. But yeah, really cute. Third book I read in January was Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. A book that I actually buddy read with Sophie. I will link to her channel down below. And I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it had lots of potential. I loved the story building. I would have loved to see more of that. And I also loved a lot of the story. I loved all the medieval India stuff. I didn't care too much about the romance, but I guess that's okay. It has a huge part in the book, but for me it wasn't kind of... I didn't really care for it, to be honest. And that's not a negative thing per se. I think for a lot of people that would be brilliant. It's just not my thing, that sort of romance. But I loved all the other stuff, so it wasn't a bad or disappointing read. I just didn't care for the romance, that's all. The next book that I read is a Norwegian non-fiction book called Kate alltid vært i Norge. And it means Kate always been in Norway. And it's about a young Jewish girl, and she was 15 years old at this point. This was November 1942, and she had to fill in a form that all Jews had to fill in during the Second World War, demanded by the Nazi Germans that were controlling Norway. At the time we were occupied, and there were like different boxes and fields they had to fill in, and there was one asking you how long have you been in Norway, or when did you arrive in Norway? And she probably could have not written anything, but probably to make a point she wrote always been in Norway. And this was a young woman who was just 15 years old, and 10 days after filling out this form, the Nazis came and arrested her and her family, her mom and father, and one of her sisters. She also had two other sisters, but they managed to flee to Sweden, fortunately. But her mom and dad and one sister and herself, as far as I've understood, were arrested and sent with Duno and to the concentration camps. And it is registered that Kate died on the 1st of December of 1942, so not very long after, just a couple of weeks after she filled in this form. It's a very sad story, and the author has gone to like the sources, he's used what he has managed to find in archives, and he's also interviewed people that knew Kate, and in that way he managed to write this story about this young girl and her family, her parents who flew from Lithuania in 1908. The Jews in Russia, or in Lithuania at the time, were having a really hard time. I think it's an important book. It's not new. The book was published in 2008, but it was a good read and a very important read. So the book Kate alltid vært i Norge was written by Espen Søby, and the last book I read in January was The Jane Austen Society, written by Natalie Jenner. And for me that was like the perfect book to read right then. I wouldn't say it's like super great literature, but I really like that it kind of gives you something extra if you've read anything by Jane Austen. There's a lot of reference to Jane Austen's works. And it was just really a comforting read for me at the time. A lot of it is about relationships. It's also about like the relationship between people and Jane Austen's works, the relationship between people. I like that there are like relationships between people later in life, not just like young people. And it's also not like super romantic all the time. It's not like all rose and dance kind of relationships. It has like all this almost layers, in my opinion. And yeah, for me it was just like the perfect read right then. It wasn't like super demanding. I'd been struggling with loads of migraines. January was horrible for me that way, and it was just like the perfect read at the end of the month for me. So that pretty much sums January up. It's now February. January was not a good month for me, as I've said, not only just because of the migraines, but also the situation in Oslo. We had quite a few very strict restrictions. It's been like the strictest since March. I will hope that I will see you in my next video, whenever that might be. I don't know. I am not having like a set schedule for this. That's all for now, and I will see you later. Bye!